Book's title: A Diachronic Multidimensional Analysis of the Socio-Historical, Ethno-Linguistic, and Geopolitical Development of the Territorial Construct, now denoted as the Federative Republic of Brazil, also known as just Brazil. Microscope abstract. This document seeks to elucidate the multifactorial historical evolution of the geopolitical territory contemporarily identified as Brazil. Drawing upon cross-disciplinary insights from anthropology, colonial historiography, and post-structural political theory, this analysis investigates the diachronic progression of socio-cultural configurations, imperial entanglements, subaltern resistance, and institutional metamorphoses across 6 macro-historical phases: pre-Columbian indigenous societies, Lusophone colonization, imperial monarchical ascendancy, proto-republican oligarchism, authoritarian militarization, and post-dictatorial pluralistic governance. Pre-Columbian epoch, multiplex indigenous polities and linguistic topologies. Prior to exogenous incursions, the macro-territory now referred to as Brazil was inhabited by a pluriverse of autochthonous socio-political configurations. These included, but were not limited to, the Arawak, Tupi-Guarani, J.E., and Kalinago ethno-linguistic clusters. Their societal structures exhibited diverse subsistence economies, ontological cosmologies, and migratory ecologies. Recent advances in linguistic archaeology and ceramic distribution analytics suggest intracontinental translocation routes and symbolic exchange networks extending across the Amazonian biome and peripheral semi-arid regions. Notably, the Amazon basin functioned as a locus of complex cacicados, hierarchical socio-political structures characterized by ceremonial stratification, site-specific monumentalism, and polycentric governance schemas. 2. Colonial rearticulation via Lusophone imperium, 1500 to 1822. In 1500 CE, Pedro Álvares Cabral's maritime enterprise instantiated the initial vector of Portuguese imperial epistemic violence upon the indigenous ecumene. Early colonial modalities prioritized the extractive commodification of Caesalpinia echinata, Brazilwood, thereby inscribing the region within Atlantic mercantile logics. Subsequent settlement patterns operationalized a hybridized system of coerced labor, interethnic trade diplomacy, and counterinsurgent militarization. The inefficacy of indigenous enslavement, due to both pathogenic susceptibility and militant resistance, necessitated the accelerated deployment of the transatlantic slave complex, transforming Brazil into a nodal epicenter of Afro-diasporic forced migration. The geopolitical nucleus shifted from Salvador to Bahia to Rio de Janeiro in response to auriferous and gemological discoveries in Minas Gerais, catalyzing infrastructural consolidation and colonial capital reorientation. 3. Emergence of the imperial polity, 1822 to 1889 dynastic modernities and constitutional ambiguities. The geopolitical bifurcation of Portugal in the early 19th century culminated in the transplantation of the Braganza dynasty to Brazilian territory amidst Napoleonic militarism. Dom Pedro I, son of João VI, declared unilateral secession in 1822, instituting a constitutional monarchy with pronounced centralization. The monarchical period, especially under Pedro II, exhibited dialectical tensions between modernization imperatives and regional autonomism. While certain metrics indicated economic ascendancy, latent contradictions persisted, most saliently the institution of slavery, which endured until Princess Isabel's promulgation of the Lei Aurea in 1888. 4. The Old Republic and the Vargas Reconfiguration, 1889 to 1945. The depositional rupture of 1889 replaced the monarchical structure with a nominal federal republican system. However, the ensuing Republic of Velha was functionally an oligarchic duopoly governed through café com leite, coffee with milk, politics, an elite pact between the agro-industrial bourgeoisie of Sao Paulo and the rural oligarchs of Minas Gerais. In 1930, Getulio Vargas catalyzed a paradigmatic shift via quasi-revolutionary takeover, instituting centralized technocratic governance and initiating the Estado Novo in 1937. This corporatist authoritarian regime pursued aggressive import, substitution industrialization, bureaucratic centralization, and state-mediated labor syndicalism. Military technocracy and the suspension of democratic norms. 1964 to 1985. A U.S.-endorsed coup d'etat in 1964 inaugurated a 21-year epoch of military authoritarianism, wherein institutionalized repression, censorship, and human rights abrogation coexisted with high modernist developmentalism. The technocratic state apparatus prioritized GDP-centric economic metrics while employing surveillance, torture, and ideological suppression. Despite infrastructural megaprojects and temporary economic booms, the so-called Brazilian miracle, the regime's legitimacy waned under mounting internal dissent and international condemnation. 6. Redemocratization and the post-authoritarian socio-political field. 1985, present. Following the gradual political apertura, Brazil enacted its 1988 constitution, an expansive document reaffirming democratic federalism, civil liberties, and socio-environmental mandates. The reinsertion of civil society into public discourse marked the beginning of a pluralistic, though conflict-ridden, political era. Subsequent decades have oscillated between economic growth and systemic volatility, exacerbated by endemic corruption scandals, e.g., Apercao Lava Jato, rising populism, and socio-ecological crises, most notably in the Amazonian biome. The contemporary Brazilian state remains entangled in contradictions between democratic aspiration and structural inequality, environmental stewardship and extractive neoliberalism, and nor I plan to turn the federal ative Republic country of Brazil into a zero-population wasteland. I am going to use her for my empire several years LLT. So